now time for the Billy C. Show, part of the BillyCBoxing.com network.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for the Billy C. Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're watching, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing okay today. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out his website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week television channel. That's right, check it out on GinacoUSA.com. You can get it through all the major streaming services, so Roku, etc. So check it out. Sign up today. It's for free, GinacoUSA.com. Great stuff on that channel, by the way, not just replays of this show, a lot of special events and gigs we've done, like the Vegas events, which will be uploaded to that this week, so check that out. Also, today's show is being brought to us in part by the Title Bout Championship computer game. If you want to match up champions of today with champions of yesteryear, get yourself a copy. Just click the banner up on the website. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can get a copy of this book right now where you're watching or listening to this very show. Just visit barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com, or if you want a signed copy, just visit billycboxing.com, or drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. All right, man. Well, listen, got a busy show scheduled for you today. First and foremost, I want to talk about the post-Canelo Kovalev fight. Some post thoughts from myself and the rest of the gang. We were there, Las Vegas. Alex and I did a couple of specials. Well, it's actually one long special, but we broke it into 3 parts. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, make sure you do. It's up on YouTube right now. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. And speaking of which, today I feel like giving stuff away. I have an official Canelo Kovalev press kit that was handed out for that event, including the final bout sheets and all the information about all the fighters. I want to combine this with a Talkin' Boxing with Billy C t-shirt and a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Now you say, how can I get my grubby paws on that great 3-part package? Easy. Give us the highest super chat or the highest donation, and it's kind of like an auction, and you get it. Now, here's one little thing, though. I know we have people watching and listening live, but we also get a lot of people that listen via podcast and radio and TV, and, of course, on demand or through YouTube. So I'm going to do 1 week. So you can either email me your pledge, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. You can do it now live through a super chat, or you can send it to us through PayPal. Just drop me an email, and the biggest donation will get the prize. I don't know. Am I talking? It's like an auction. I don't know what it is. If you want it, you got it. 3 things: the official press kit, the t-shirt, and a Title Bout Championship computer game. All right, well, let's get going. Canelo Kovalev, great fight for Kovalev's light heavyweight title. At the end, Canelo won the fight. Not only did he win it, but he knocked Kovalev out, which was an impressive fight. Listen, I liked the fight. All right, I thought it was a great fight. Most people I talked to liked it as well. If you were Canelo improved to 53 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws, knocking Kovalev out in the 11th round. Kovalev drops his 4th fight of his career. He's now 34 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. 2 of his losses coming at the hands of Andre Ward, and now 1 coming at the hands of Canelo Alvarez. And the other Elder Alvarez. He doesn't do well against Alvarez. After the fight, Canelo said, I want to thank everybody. I'm happy with this victory. We knew it was going to be a tough fight, and we came out with the victory. Kovalev said, I didn't recover. I was tired after the 6th round because my last fight was close to this one, but it's okay. It's a new experience. Canelo's a great champion, et cetera, et cetera. Some official quotes that were given. Canelo Alvarez said, this is just a step in my career, in my history, and all I ask of you, the fans, is to be patient because Canelo will definitely be making history. That's a guarantee. The plan overall was being patient, and that's basically it. We had to have patience in this fight. We knew it was going to be 5-6 rounds, and it was going to take some time for me to get him, but honestly, he's a great fighter. I'm new at this weight. I'm new in this division. Much credit to him. He's a great fighter, but we stuck to our game plan. It was a little delayed, a little bit, but it was successful. He goes on to say it was a close fight. He was defensive. He was closing up his guard. All he was doing was trying to establish points, but we knew what was coming. After this, the plan was to go down to 160, maybe 165. But why not? Maybe 175 again. We'll have to see what happens. We have to do what's best for us. When asked, of course, about Triple G, he says, it's not a challenge to me. We fought 24 rounds and I beat him. It's really not a challenge for me, but if it represents good business, why not? By the way, most people feel he lost the first fight. So Kovalev, he complained about being tired after the 6th round, said it was too close to his other fight. But he felt that he knows he could be a unified champion again. Let's make a unification fight. No one wants to fight me. This guy was fresh. He came into my division fresh. He has more stamina, but it was a good experience for me. What does it all mean? I don't know. When we talked with Kathy Duva, she said that he was already planning on continuing his career, whether he stayed in that, whether he won or lost, he was going to stay fighting. After she left, I turned to Alex and I said, right there, I'm telling you, I went to the booth and I put some money on Canelo to win. Actually, Alex put some money on Canelo to win too, and he did it even better, won more than me. But the way I had it going into the score, the way I had it on my scorecard going into by the time the fight was stopped. I gave the first round to Kovalev. I gave the second round to Canelo. But I gave the next 3 to Kovalev. I gave rounds 3, 4, and 5 to Kovalev. Round 6 and 7 to Canelo. Round 8 to Kovalev. Round 9 to Canelo. Round 10 to Kovalev. And then round 11 was like the round that Canelo just woke up and ended up winning by knockout at 2 minutes and 15 seconds to give him the win. Some interesting stats, that we have courtesy of BoxStat. You can get to them on our website. As far as landed, Kovalev landed more, 209 to Alvarez's 147. But the accuracy of the punches was the difference. After all those punches and even landing, Kovalev's first round knockout, 1 minute and 38 seconds over Romero Duno. And I put money on Duno. I thought that this was going to be a big test for Ryan Garcia, and boy, was I wrong. In a great female fight, Censisa Estrada won by a technical decision. They thought it was a TKO at the end of the ninth. The cut that Marlon Esparza had was just vicious. And at the end of the day, they went to the scorecards, 90 to 81, 89, 82, 88, 83. All three judges giving it to Estrada. Marlon Esparza showed a lot of heart in this fight. Amazing. I see her in the weigh-in. She comes in and she's like this, in high heels. She just looked like she should be going down, the runway, so to speak. And then fight night, she just looked like she was ready to take care of business. But so was Estrada. Estrada was much smaller. But what a great fight. Now, after that fight, in case you didn't notice, that fight was 3-minute rounds. And Mauricio Suleiman was really criticizing the commission and the WBA for letting it be 3 minutes. But I got to tell you, every female fighter I've ever talked to wants to fight 3 minutes. So, I don't know what Suleiman is talking about. Another fight, Blair the Flair Cobbs. If you missed the interview, it's on part 1 of our Vegas trip. Check it out. He improved to 13-0 with one draw when he stopped his opponent via a 6th round knockout. It was actually between 6th and 7th rounds. He had dropped Ortiz down in the 6th. He himself was down in the 1st. It's a kid to keep an eye on. Evan Holyfield made his pro debut and won in 16 seconds, stopping Nick Winstead. And then there was a couple other good fights on that card. So that was that. At the end, they interviewed Bivol. He says, I can beat Canelo. That's the fight I would like to see. If Canelo's not going to fight Triple G, and quite honestly, Triple G is not the same Triple G. I would like to see him fight Bivol. That's the fight, in my opinion. That would be the fight that I would be interested in seeing. Bivol is not a big light heavyweight. Kovalev was. Kovalev is a big heavyweight, I should say. Not was, but he is. And, Canelo beat him. He looked very comfortable at that weight. I can't see why he would want to go back down, to be honest with you. I think that he looks good at light heavyweight, and Bivol is a smaller guy, and I think Bivol would be the great fight. Let's see Canelo beat a young light heavyweight in Dimitri Bivol. I think it would be an even fight, and I would love to see it. That's for sure. We could check that out. But anyway, it was a great fight. It was a great time in Vegas. And, I just want to thank DAZN and Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy and the MGM for really giving us a great platform to broadcast from. And if you've missed that show, we broke it into 3 parts. The first part pretty much is a lot of technical stuff, and towards the end, technical stuff meaning our breakdowns and stuff. And towards the end of that segment, we have Blair Cobbs on. The second part is loaded with great guests. Buddy McGirt, a Hall of Famer, Sergey Mora, who's doing commentary for DAZN. He was on with us, and Kathy Duva. Great segment. And then the third part, Bernard Hopkins in a classic interview. You don't want to miss that one. Joining us right now is my main man, Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, thank you, my man. Thank you. Big fight last weekend. Canelo Alvarez fought Sergey Kovalev in what was a very exciting fight, I thought. What was your thoughts on that fight?
Billy, it was one of the best fights, tactfully, strategically, and brilliantly executed by Canelo Alvarez. But Sergey Kovalev, let me tell you something. He was in that fight all the way. In fact, after the 10th round, I had him up by 1 point, 95-96. He was up. And I just knew, but after the 10th, that Kovalev was turning everything around. And he started getting to Kovalev. And Alvarez just said, hey, you're in my wheelhouse now. I'm going to own you. And bam, he put a combination together that was devastating.
Yeah, it seemed like Canelo had put his game. They both were following their game plans that they had mentioned
Yes.
that they would follow. And Canelo just was very patient, like he said, and waited. And then that 11th round, Canelo really put his foot on the gas, I thought, Sal, and overwhelmed Kovalev. What did you think?
Yes, exactly that, Billy. I gave him the 10th round. I think Kovalev, like I said, I had him up 96 to 95 going into the 11th, but I knew that Canelo was just getting his momentum, and that peekaboo style, and obviously Kovalev couldn't really hurt Canelo, and that proved to be the courage Canelo needed to force on and go on. And like I said, the whole card was phenomenal. I saw the two female boxers. I cannot believe the endurance that they went through. And we could talk about that in a little while, but I want to just recap what Canelo did with Sergey Kovalev. I just couldn't believe it. It was a great knockout. And, I think Sergey's got to really look at himself and say, hey, where am I going next? And because he can't afford to take too many more beatings like that.
Well, he got, I think, either 11 or 15 million for the fight. And quite honestly, why would he go on? Like I mentioned a few moments ago, when we interviewed Kathy Duva, she said to us that, oh no, win, lose or draw, he's continuing with his career. And when she left, I said to Alex, I said, I can't recall if it's on air or not, but I said, you know what? I said, that's a sign of a fighter that's already thinking he's going to lose. You can't think you're going to lose. There's the overconfident guys, and then there's just the confident guys. What's your thoughts on that, Sal? If a guy's already making plans, if he's already making plans for if he loses, doesn't mentally that mean he already lost?
It's a defeatist attitude, and I'll tell you what, you were hands down right on the money. And he's already making a concession speech in his mind for why he lost or whatever the heck. He didn't, but it was a clear victory. But I'll tell you, Canelo, he never ceases to amaze me. And the only thing I wish he could have another fight with Triple G, but I don't even know if he needs that in the future anymore.
The problem with that, Sal, I don't mean to cut you off, but the problem with that is we all want to see it. We all feel that he lost the first fight. The second fight, you can make an argument he lost that too, but it was a lot closer.
Yeah.
The issue that I have is that, in a sense, Canelo says, hey, I already beat him twice. There's nothing in it for me. And in a way, he's right, even though both fights were great. The problem is Canelo is, like, I think, at his prime right now. I think we're seeing the best Canelo right now. And I don't know if I could say that about Triple G. So, maybe Canelo, if he is truly going to challenge himself, and I clearly look at the Kovalev fight as him challenging himself, well, then he needs to fight a guy like Bivol. That's what I think.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you, that makes it crystal clear, and why we may never see another Canelo Triple G fight. And I can live with that. I just want to see Canelo evolve, and he wants to be a legend. He wants to be a Henry Armstrong, a Joe Louis, and that's great aspiration. And you know what? He's got the right hand to play, and he can do all that because he really has the popularity behind him already. And I think, like I said, how Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, brought him along, and the whole card was phenomenal. I love Ryan Garcia, one of the fighters we saw early on in his career, and Romero Duno wanted to fight him so bad, and bam, he shut that up first round.
Yeah, I said pre-fight that's what Ryan Garcia had to do because Duno gets stronger as the fight goes on. So, but anyway, you wanted to talk about the Ciencia Estrada and Marlon Esparza fight. Female fight. It was a great fight. And Mauricio Suleiman was all ticked off about that it went 3 minutes instead of 2. He feels female fighters can't physically handle 3 rounds. I thought it was great that it went 3 rounds. Every female fighter I've ever spoken to, Sal, wants 3-minute rounds. What was your thoughts on the fight and then the fact that they used 3-minute rounds in that fight?
These two gals were warriors. I mean, they were warriors. There was very few females in their weight class that could ever get past them with the way they fought, with the intensity, the desire, the focus, and it just proved to be an excellent fight. And I really think that the whole platform was very successful. But the Estrada Espana fight was a phenomenal women's fight. If they had a women's fight of the year, that would get it. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was a great fight, action-packed. That cut was vicious. Estrada was a much smaller fighter. They legitimately did not like each other. It was something.
No.
Hey, Sal, before we let you go, I got emails I'll be reading a little later, but my man Mitch sent me he said, ask Sal about this. He should have a story. And all it was a fight poster. Now, maybe you got to go back in your memory banks here, but way back on July 14th in 1983 at the Ice World in New Jersey, on the undercard of a then undefeated Scott Frank against Kenny Arlett, was a guy named Sal Senecola in his 6th professional fight, taking on Dwight Hobson. Do you recall the fight what it was like to be, starting to move up? It was only your 6th fight.
Yes, I know. I remember that fight, and that was a good night. Was it against Dwight Hobson?
Dwight Hobson, yep. Dwight Hobson was who you fought.
Yep.
You won a unanimous decision, Sal. In your 6th fight, you went the distance. What happened?
I won 10 rounds, and I'll tell you what, I think it was good to prove I had the endurance to do it. But I'll tell you what, he was a good fighter. He was a Philly fighter, I believe. And he just, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. Bobby Ches and I, we were training at the Lou Duva's gym up in above the sausage factory in West Patterson. And after we finished training, and we were sparring a little bit, we finished training, we went to John's Pizza in downtown Totowa or
yeah, it was in Totowa.
Yeah. It was great pizza. I know the whole family. His brother Aldo had a pizzeria in Rivervale. But we went to John's Pizza. He and I knocked off a whole pizza, a couple other things. And he said, Sal, don't worry about your weight. Just take these 2 pills tonight and you'll be fine tomorrow. And I said, what the hell? And I'll tell you, it worked. But whatever it did, it drained my energy, all my electrolytes and everything else. But it was all water weight I lost. And but it was a great victory, I thought, because I was tested for really the first time. And it was really good. I remember that fight, Ice World, boy. Something else, Ice World.
I figured you would enjoy that email. But Sal, we'll look forward to you next week. It's going to be a slow week next week, but the week after, your boy Deontay Wilder gets back in the ring, and he's taking on Luis Ortiz. So we'll be chatting a lot about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a good rematch. You don't want to make any early predictions, do you?
No, I don't even think.
Nah.
No predictions. I'll wait till next week. We'll break it down next week and give a in-depth. Try and be as in-depth as possible. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I'll go with that. That's great.
All right, Sal. We'll talk to you next time,
Billy.
brother.
All right, Billy. Thank you for letting me talk to all your guests and everything else. It was a great pleasure to do so. And I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, man. I'll talk to you in a week. During the week.
Have a great day.
During the
Bye-bye.
week. I meant during the week. Okay. All right. Take care.
During, definitely.
Take care. Take care,
See you
brother.
later.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Ciao. That's my man, Sal Rocky Senecola. giving us his thoughts on the Canelo Kovalev fight, and also reminiscing about a fight he had at Ice World back in 1984, was it? 83? A couple other fights I want to talk about real quick before we get Dax on. In arguably the fight of the year already, or I should say now, as the year winds down, but it's got to be a top candidate. When Naoya Inoue improved to 19-0 with 16 knockouts when he beat Nonito Donaire in a tough, action-packed 12-round fight. Not only did they unify the titles, Inoue now is the WBA and IBF champion in the bantamweight division, but he also picked up the WBSS Muhammad Ali Trophy for winning the World Boxing Super Series. And I really give Nonito Donaire a lot of credit because he's been around a long time and he's no spring chicken. And he fought very well. Tough fight. Inoue didn't get a knockout, which we're used to seeing, but Donaire fought with a lot of heart. Loved the fight. The way the judges scored it, 117-109, 116-111. And Robert Hoyle, a U.S. judge, saw it 114-113. It was interesting to see how the two judges outside of the U.S. Scored the fight 117-109, 116-111, pretty much a shutout for Inoue. And the U.S. judge had it 114-113. Interesting. Right after that fight, Inoue signed a deal with Top Rank and ESPN, so his next fight we'll get to see here in the U.S. Another fight I wanted to mention real quick, in the lightweight division. I say lightweight because we've got a couple of good fights brewing at the lightweight division. Devin Haney improved to 24-0 with 15 knockouts when he scored a 12-round unanimous decision over Alfredo Santiago, who had been unbeaten going into that fight. He drops to 12-1. All three judges scored at the same 120-107. This kid Haney is a special fighter. He's young. But he's showing me that we're going to be in a discussion about him in the near future about breaking that pound for pound top 5, top 6 category. This guy does everything pretty smoothly. He goes in for the kill when he has to. He's got great movement. His defensive head movement should improve a little bit, but he looks really good. I like this guy. I enjoyed watching the fight. In a fight that surprised me, I got to be honest, I thought that they were gearing Lamont Roach to win this fight. And when I broke this fight down, by myself, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, well, Herring is, his last 5 opponents were all good. But he lost 2 of those 5, and that's 22 fights. I've only seen him with 5 good opponents. He was the champ, Herring, and then he goes in with Roach. And when I looked at Roach, when I was, looking through his record, I mean, his last 8 fights in a row was against good opposition. He was giving up 3 inches in height and 2 inches in arm reach. I really thought that it would be a little more in his favor, but I was wrong, as Herring won the fight by unanimous decision, 115-113, and 2 judges had it 117-111. Billy Joe Saunders stopped his opponent in the 11th round, 1 minute 59 seconds. Marcelio Caceres drops to 28 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. Saunders stays unbeaten at 29-0. With 14 of his wins coming by knockout. It was a boring fight until the knockout. I think that's the problem with Billy Joe Saunders. And heavyweight action, Kubrat Pulev, who's ranked number 1, who's supposed to be getting the winner of Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz, looked pathetic against Rydell Booker. No disrespect, but Rydell Booker never fought anybody close to being good. Pulev has some good wins under his belt. This guy's going nowhere. Whoever he fights, whether it's Andy Ruiz, whether it's AJ, whether it's Deontay Wilder, any of those top heavyweights are going to destroy him. I'm sorry. He just looks like he's thinking about other things. 99-91, 98-92 twice was the way the judges scored it. He says, it's been 8 months from my last fight. I think my opponent was not bad. I respect him. It was a nice fight. I controlled the whole fight. I was a better boxer. I showed everyone I'm at the world top level. I must fight the winner of Joshua Ruiz. I disagree. I don't think he showed that he's at the top level. But in any event, I know I'm over my time here. I got to get Dax on. But some other heavyweights, Big Daddy Brown, Lucas Brown, improved to 29-2 with 25 knockouts when he stopped John Hopate in Australia. Hopate 12-7. Doesn't really surprise you there. And shame on DAZN, okay? Shame on DAZN. DAZN, which I love, they put this basically celebrity boxing match, KSI against Logan Paul, as the main event on the Devin Haney was on this card. The main event. And, I mean, you can't argue. Apparently, they did really well. But this is the main event. Both guys turned pro. How sad is that? The Zone did that, and they made us wait for Canelo Kovalev for a UFC card to get over. It's so. Is that what it's become? You know, I don't know. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have Dax Khan with us. Don't go nowheres.
Billy C will be right back.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt. The innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
You know, similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to rise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired
Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget, check out our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week boxing channel. All the information can be found up on GinacoUSA.com. You can watch us on all the major streaming services like Roku, etc., etc. Don't forget about our little auction we got going on. We got a T-shirt. We got what else we got? We got the Title Bout Championship computer game and the official press kit. from Canelo Kovalev. Joining us right now is my man, Dax Khan. Good morning, Dax.
Yeah, good morning, Billy C.
Okay, before we talk about a really, fight of the year, I know you think so already. Let's talk first about Canelo Kovalev, which was also a very good fight. I thought that Kovalev had to do what he was doing, but Canelo seemed to fight a smart fight, broke him down, knocked him out. What was your thoughts on the fight?
Well, Canelo's, he cemented his legacy no matter what anybody's opinion of him might be. He has a stellar resume. Kovalev, he seemed to know his role in this fight. And what really bothered me, not only during the broadcast but leading up, is how many times that was mentioned by people, not only at the broadcast table but in different interviews. And he had that I am the opponent here to be beaten aura about him, certainly not the crusher aura. The fight was, far from exciting, and I blame Kovalev, who was tentative from the start about letting his hands go. The jab didn't really have much power to it. Canelo fought very smart. I think he got a little frustrated a few times. I remember him saying to his corner, what's going on here, and his corner's telling him, just wait, it will come. I think that was about the 8th or 9th round, which, was more or less meaning that, the opportunity is going to come, is going to open itself up, and what's going to happen. Great job by Canelo. We didn't get the whole beat the body till it crumbles act that was promised. We seen very smart, composed boxing by Canelo. Right now, based off of this, you have to say, love him or hate him, Canelo is the pound-for-pound best fighter in boxing, period, just off of his resume. I won't say that he's the most skilled fighter in boxing overall, but he has the best resume. He's faced all the top names. Now it's just time for him to really cement this position, to cement this move, meaning that he's got to face one of the other guys that didn't come in there to fit this role, more or less, if you get what I'm saying.
Here's the thing. I agree with you. I think that Canelo looked great. I think that the weight suits him. To be honest with you, I think he seemed very natural at it. I don't know what he weighed fight night. I do know there was a rehydration clause, which they said wasn't going to happen, but it happened. It was 185. I was starting to wonder about the Kovalev being overweight, even though he was only a little bit over by the time he had to lose the weight, a quarter of a pound. But he's never been overweight, and it just got the wheels turning. I thought that both fighters seemingly were doing what they wanted. I'm just not sure where it fell apart for Kovalev. He claimed that he didn't give himself enough time between fights. Most experts say that for older fighters, it's better to do what he did. It's not like he fought 2 weeks later. He was still in good shape. He did have a trying fight against Anthony Yard, but I was surprised to see him wilter the way he did. He was doing what he wanted to do, and to Canelo's credit, he was patient, Dax. He was more patient than I've seen him, and when he put his foot on the gas, which clearly, he was winning a couple of rounds on my scorecard before. I had it much closer than the judges did, but when he put his foot on that gas in the 11th round, it was lights out. He knew he was going to end that fight either in that round or the 12th. Did you see that?
Right, that's what I just mentioned, that his corner was telling him, just be patient and we'll come. Meaning that, they seen it. Canelo just wanted it a little bit earlier, but, he remained composed and he waited for that perfect opening, which, speaks volumes on that level that Canelo's on. So you have to give Canelo all the credit in the world. Now, what's next for Canelo? I don't know. I think Dimitri Bivol, that would be a great fight. I think Canelo loses, but, it's a tactical fight. I think a fight against Callum Smith would be interesting. I think Canelo might, come out ahead on that because he has the more experience and better overall skill set. If for some reason he does stay at light heavyweight, just stay away from Arthur Beterbiev. Whoever would or allow him make such fights should be investigated. Canelo might win some rounds, but that'll be about it. Other than that, I really don't know what's left for Canelo in terms of really big fights. There's no really big names or mega fights out there right now for him, except for those guys up there. Middleweight pretty much doesn't have anything that's overly appealing. Do you think so?
Well, I want to, before I answer that, and the answer is no. Because the only appealing fight at middleweight is Triple G, and that's not that appealing anymore because Triple G is clearly not the best Triple G that we've seen. But here's the thing. Canelo, we're talking about historical aspects, the significance of the win. You're putting him at pound for pound. All these things. And I agree with you. The resume speaks for itself. But, the problem I have, and this goes back with Floyd Mayweather, and I'm going to compare it with the fighters like in the 80s with Sugar Ray Leonard and Hagler and Tommy Hearns, and then even before when you're talking about Sugar Ray Robinson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These guys, part of the legacies that they were trying to prove how great they were, they didn't seemingly seek out the weakest link of a division. And I'm not suggesting that Kovalev was really the weakest link, but, maybe I am, because the truth of the matter is Bivol is a young fighter with talent. And if Canelo really wants to cement his place in boxing history, which he's there anyway, but I mean really like a Bernard Hopkins, like a throwback fighter that's going to be in the conversation when people say, "Oh, I would have been or he would have been good in any era." Canelo needs to fight that fight, Dax. The Bivol fight shows that he's looking for the best challenges. What's your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. The Kovalev fight, it's a great accomplishment, make no mistakes, but in my opinion, if it was going to be a genuine move up in weight and become a division champion and not a belt holder, that's something that you would say to yourself, okay, this is a great start to see how I handle the power of a light heavyweight, how I deal with a guy who is crafty, because Kovalev is, the most experienced of all of them as a professional. So, right now it's not really hard to get title belts in the sport. We know that, and that's a problem in the sport. But, I'm not going to take anything away from the win from Canelo. It's, boxing, Bill, is always a what have you done lately sport, and it's more often than not what have you done after lately, and that's what matters the most, is what Canelo does next. Now, if Canelo goes back and he starts fighting guys maybe, at a catch weight, or he starts fighting guys that mysteriously show up in the rankings, then you have to say to yourself, you know what, really, that was just a cherry pick. It was the right time, right place. But right now, you just have to say, you know what, good for you, Canelo. Let's see what's next. You have to keep outdoing yourself to be a great.
I agree, and I think a fight against Bivol is the fight, because they're both similar in size. I think it would be a really good fight. It's a sellable fight. That's the one I would like. But speaking of fights, arguably one of the top fight of the year candidates right now is the fight that took place Thursday in Japan. Naoya Inoue improved to 19-0, taking on and beating Nonito Donaire in the World Boxing Super Series final. What a fight that was. What's your thoughts?
It was a great fight. A lot of people, including myself, believed that Donaire didn't have enough left inside of him to go the distance, especially the way Inoue has blasted out all his opponents so far. Now, with that being said, we also forget that Nonito Donaire, when he was down at 118 pounds, and I'm talking, this is before the Rigondeaux fight at 122, Donaire was almost pretty much, he was a Inoue at that time. He was a sensation. Just now he's at 36 years old. He's got a little bit of miles on him. We didn't think that he'd be able to go out there and perform the way he did. So he deserves all the credit in the world. It was a competitive bout. And Donaire, if he never fights again, he's had a Hall of Fame career, in my opinion. Multi-division world champion. He's beat a lot of fighters. He's always been a guy that comes in there and performs well. Now, as far as Inoue, first thing I got to say, I love the fact that he rejected that WBC Diamond Belt offer. This is one of the most commending acts by a fighter in a long time, and it just reinforces that the fighter makes the title, not the other way around. Inoue, he also proved, Bill, he doesn't need to stop every opponent to win. He boxed the entire fight. He showed different angles. He fought smart when needed. He went after the body, went after the head. The kid's a special kind of fighter. He passed every test there is so far. He's going the distance. He can take a punch. Right now he's 19-0 with 16 knockouts, titles in 3 divisions. He's 14-0 against in world title fights. He's beaten 8 world champions. Bill, the combined record of his 19 opponents is 460 wins, 67 losses, and 22 draws. This is a kid here. If he never fought again, he almost has pretty much a Hall of Fame resume already. How much greater can this kid get?
The part I like about this guy, and the way I feel about most fighters, and they seemingly are all not from the U.S., is they're trying to prove it. They're doing exactly what I was saying Canelo should do. And, they're proving it. They're going out there. This guy wants to not only win, but he's trying to cement himself in real history, not just, trinkets, not just collecting belts and stuff. I mean, and money, I love him. I thought it was a great fight. And I agree with you about Donaire. People can't, this kid, he showed me. I didn't think he was going to end this fight on his feet, Dax.
No, most people didn't. Like I said, I didn't either, and I've always been a huge Donaire fan. But Donaire showed he does have something more left in him, and maybe boxing, the memory is short for fans, Bill, and sometimes it can be long. And I think that one of the things that Donaire has suffered from in the long run is that knockout to Nicholas Walters. And a lot of people forget after the Nicholas Walters fight, Donaire has done well, and Nicholas Walters is a huge puncher, and that wasn't Donaire's natural weight.
Plus, there was a lot of other things going on in his personal life during that time, but not that that's an excuse, but it's fact.
Yeah, no, I would love to see Newey fight the Frenchman, take the WBC titles. This way he has all the belts in that division. And then, I don't know what's next. I don't know if Newey would be as effective at 122. But, as for right now, just enjoying the kid, for what he's bringing out there. And as for Donaire, he's got a little bit something left in him, another 1 or 2 fights, maybe a nice payday for him, and, call it a day. He's going to be 37, or he did just turn 37, I believe.
I'll tell you a fight that I loved, and I love this kid. Devin Haney beat Alfredo Santiago last night, WBC lightweight champion. I can't help but think of this guy, fighting a Lomachenko. Devin Haney is a quality fighter, Dax. He showed me yesterday that he's a complete fighter. What was your thoughts on his win?
Oh, I like Devin Haney. He is a quality fighter. He's a complete fighter. Now, Devin Haney, let's not get crazy on Devin Haney. He's a skilled fighter. He shows he has the goods. He is not the next Floyd Mayweather at the moment. I did not watch the main event last night, but at least a dozen times of what I did watch, I don't know how many times I heard the next Floyd Mayweather comparison, either during the fight or before the fight. Any time that happens, Bill, most recently, the two guys that you can use as an example, Devin Alexander and Adrian Broner, they seem to flop. I don't know if they're wishing bad luck on this kid, but Devin Haney, he's not ready for a Lomachenko right now. Don't rush the kid. When you rush a kid like Devin Haney, who's at the top of the world, and he goes in there against the Lomachenko type, and it turns out to be a one-sided fight. Not that that's guaranteed, but it does turn out to be a one-sided fight. Usually what happens, Bill, is they're never the same confident-wise. So, don't rush the kid.
Well,
don't rush the kid.
I wasn't saying put him in there with Lomachenko next. My point was I can see it developing into a good fight. But then again, not all the time, because look, Canelo fought Mayweather earlier in his career, and it changed his career for the better. So it depends on the fighter. You're right, though, from the mental aspect. And as far as being the next Floyd Mayweather, there's no way he's the next Floyd Mayweather because he's too aggressive. This kid is an aggressive fighter. Go back in the discussion. He seems to me that he's like an afterthought now. He's in the super middleweight division. He did win by knockout, but it was like
direction at Billy Joe Saunders, for him to get back up there, he needs something dominant, Bill. He needs, not dominant like, a knockout last night after a dull performance. He needs dominance for a couple of fights for him to get his name back up there and for people to take him serious. Because right now, in my opinion, the way I look at Billy Joe Saunders is, what could be. Not what is. It's just what could be. Going back to the title belts, it's not really that hard to get title belts in this era if you're in that top 10.
You're right. You said you didn't watch the main event yesterday, KSI against Logan Paul. But I want to talk probably the reasons why you didn't watch it. I think, nobody has promoted DAZN and the benefit of DAZN more than myself and you. I mean, you've been, a fan of DAZN long before I was. They've pulled two things in the last 2 weeks that basically all I can say is shame on DAZN. The first thing is making us wait for the UFC fight to be completed before they started Canelo Kovalev, it made me say to myself, why? I mean, were they counting on a crossover? If are there crossover fans? It was just the people that were going to buy Canelo Kovalev or watch Canelo Kovalev were going to watch it whether or not UFC was on or not. I thought that was a terrible move. And to make this KSI and Logan Paul a main event, basically celebrity boxing. Yes, they both turned pro and fought. And yes, they both have over 20 million viewers on YouTube. What were they thinking, Dax? I mean, is this what this sport has become?
Well, first, as far as that main event goes, I didn't watch it. If maybe Barry Williams and Danny Bonaducci or Dustin Diamond and Ron Palillo would have went at it again, I'd have watched that, but I wouldn't have watched this nonsense. What really turned me off, Bill, is that how they build it. If they did something like Mayweather and McGregor, for example, the money fight, they more or less build it as an event, not a legitimate fight that they're trying to sell, then I might have watched it out of curiosity. But, when they're trying to snowball fans, new fans, it's great to create and bring new fans to the sport, but, don't snowball them and try to make these new fans think that this is something it was not. It's disrespectful to the fighters that are out there that are, the true fighters, the guys that do this for a living, not the guys that are getting paid $900,000 for a debut because they have YouTube watchers. One of my kids had me watch a few of those Logan Paul videos, and
what does he do? What does he do?
He's an idiot. No, he's an idiot. I couldn't even watch one. The one video I was showed, I bought the world's biggest puppy. I think he's standing there in some weird thing. He's got a giant, whatever, put up against him. I don't know. I think he's a pervert. But, yeah, I'm very disappointed in DAZN. If this type of programming keeps up and they start doing stuff like they did with the Canelo Kovalev fight by not properly scheduling around the UFC, so that didn't happen, I think I'll cancel my subscription when it goes up to that $19.99. Right now I'm still locked in at $9.99 from that first year, but with ESPN Plus a lot cheaper and Top Rank right now having so many good fighters on there that they'll be putting on there, DAZN is hurting themselves. With boxing fans, of course they're going to draw in guys, fans, for events like this. But in terms of boxing fans, I'm not too pleased with them.
I think they've really tightened up their broadcast, and they are putting on good fights. But
the broadcast is horrible. I mean, the announcing team during Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, this is the stuff you kind of heard. It tells you how really bad it was. That's all you can say. It's just bad. I mean, at one point in time, I think it was Bernardo. I forget who said it, but they were like, what's the difference between Billy Joe Saunders fighting at 160 and 168? And the guy seriously said, because Saunders says he can't eat chocolate when he has to cut weight to 160, and that makes him sad.
Yeah,
really? Are you serious now? Come on.
I heard that. But, I mean, their top events, like with Sergio Mora, he's good. I don't like Todd Grisham too much, But anyway,
and Chris Mannix, he gets on there and he talks to everybody like they're wearing a helmet.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about Mannix, but Mora is good, man. He's one of the.
I like Mora, but one guy isn't the whole broadcast.
No, you're right. Unfortunately, Dax, great job. And,
next week we didn't get to talk about Regis. We talked about Inouye and Donaire, but Regis Prograis and Josh Taylor, that was another great fight that was on DAZN, and the World Boxing Super Series helped clean up another division. And before we go, just mention our condolences to Dwight Ritchie, the Australian boxer, the super welterweight, who passed away after a freak accident. He was sparring with middleweight Michael Zafara. He gets hit with a body shot, and whatever it did, he died a short while later.
Yeah,
and he was only 27 years old. Another young man we lost in the sport this year.
Yeah, two of them within a month. So, Dax, thanks for reminding us that, and we'll look forward to next week, brother.
All right, everybody, enjoy your day.
Take care. That's Dax Khan. You can check him out on the website, www.billycboxing.com. I just want to say one thing before we take a break. I'm constantly telling you guys, my thoughts on different things. Well, I got to admit, I have a problem. I have an addiction, and it's to Kenny Bear's barbecue rub. It's and I'm not kidding you. All right, check it out. SouthernGourmetSpice.com. That's SouthernGourmetSpice.com, and get yourself a bottle of Kenny Bear's barbecue rub. I call Kenny up, and I'm like, dude, I'm running out, man. I'm running out. This stuff is good on everything, and I'm not just saying it. Get yourself a bottle. Tell him Billy C sent you for a discount. SouthernGourmetSpice.com. It's worth it, man. It really is. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, we'll have Alex Papali join us. We'll talk about our Vegas trip, and also a little bit about Kubrat Pulev. I'm really disappointed in Pulev. He's supposed to be a top heavyweight to technically challenge for a world title, and he's a boring fighter. And I really thought I met him. I was at a card with him when he was in Denmark. He fought the kid out of Long Island, Derek Rossi. And, it was a tough fight, and I followed him there. I saw him from that point. I saw him improve, and he seems to be regressing right now. That's my thoughts anyway. But don't go anywhere. We're going to take a short break, and, well, we'll be back soon.
Billy C will be right back.
Listen to this important message. If you owe money to the IRS, you will want to hear this. Penalties and interest compound daily on your back taxes, putting you under a mountain of debt. Tax 10,000 has years of experience connecting people with tax resolution specialists. Working through the IRS Fresh Start program, they will handle all the necessary forms, and if you qualify, you may end up saving thousands of dollars. Call Tax 10,000 at 800-773-4604.
Need relief from backaches and stiffness in your hips or down your legs? Then you need Dr. Ho's Back Relief Belt, the innovative technology works to support and decompress your spine. And now it's covered by Medicare.
Every patient with back pain should be wearing this belt.
Nothing gave me instant relief except for the Dr. Ho belt.
Feel good while standing, walking, driving, doing housework, and while laying down. And now Dr. Ho's patented belt is available at our best price ever. It's even covered by Medicare. Order now and get the easy-to-use hand pump and back rehabilitation DVD free.
Similar belts can cost you almost $1,000, but my belts won't cost you $500, not $300, not even $200. I will give you my special TV price.
And remember, Dr. Ho's belt is covered by Medicare.
If you know a friend or family member that suffers with pain, get them my system today. Help them live with less pain, be more active, and get back to doing the things they love. Give them the gift of health.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote. Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering?
KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.kofantasyboxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.kofantasyboxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.kofantasyboxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Don't forget about my book. Get yourself a copy right now. It's a great stocking stuffer. That's right. It's that time of year. Stocking stuffer. My book. Get it. You know, BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, or just drop me an email or click it on the website, BillyCBoxing.com. Joining me right now is Alex Papali. Woo! What's up, Alex?
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
I had to give you a woo from Blair the Flair Cobbs. But before we get started, woo! You know, this guy was too much. But before we get started, Canelo Kovalev, post-fight thoughts. We were there. It was a great event for us. We had some great interviews and a good time overall. Love traveling with you, my man, and except when you take me too seriously. But anyway, Canelo Alvarez and Kovalev, what was your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, it's a very good trip. I thought it was a decent fight. I thought it was kind of expected what happened. I did not expect Kovalev to box as well as he did for as long as he did. However, there was a very big problem with what he was doing because it was a little bit so cautious that he was putting himself in a situation where he needed to start landing heavier punches, but that was going to be the problem. Was once he started landing heavier punches, he was going to allow Canelo to land heavier punches too, and that was going to be his undoing, and it was. It was weird because it's almost as if when you watch that 11th round again closer, it almost looks as if Canelo's bigger at the start of that round, that Kovalev has diminished a little bit. I do think that Kovalev was starting to open up a bit. And the ninth was a little more heated than most of the rounds were. Both guys landed a little heavier. I did think Kovalev was winning the first night I saw it with you, and then I watched it again this week, and I had it a little better for Alvarez, but I still thought Kovalev was ahead. Now, granted, he was not landing significant punches, but Bill, he was tapping him all night. And this is the thing about Alvarez. He just throws so few punches. Now, granted, they were the meaner, more significant punches a lot of times, but I think in some rounds there just wasn't enough. And I think this is one of those questions you've asked in the past, is especially with the whole CompuBox thing, how many jabs equals a power punch? Because Kovalev was throwing so many jabs. And Kovalev was really not throwing all that many punches. So it was a little interesting to see what the official judges did with the rounds, but they love everything that that Canelo does. So I wasn't surprised that they had Canelo up, but I didn't see it. I thought he was having a little bit of difficulty with the dimensions of the fight, but he was right there. Kovalev never stung him a bit.
Going into the fight, I had Kovalev, going into that 11th round, I had Kovalev up 96-94. You and I were scoring the fight during round for round. We had a couple of differences early on in the fight, but it started to become crystal clear. And Kovalev was doing well in the fight because of the jab. He was trying to set up his distance just like we said he should. You're right. I don't like talking about the stats during a fight, but after the fight, they're interesting. And there's a company called BoxStat that we've kind of partnered a little bit with, and some interesting stats to back up what you just said. 958 punches were thrown by Kovalev. 958. 306 by Saul Canelo Alvarez. Huge difference. As far as landing, Kovalev landed more. 209. 209 punches he landed to Canelo Alvarez, 147. That was a 30% landing rate for Alvarez and a 42% for Kovalev. But here's the big stat. The big stat is accuracy. Punch accuracy for Kovalev was 22%, whereas Canelo Alvarez, his accuracy was 48%. To me, that defined the end of that fight. I think that Canelo, after watching that fight again, I think Canelo did exactly what he planned on doing. Kovalev was doing what they planned. He was winning that fight on my scorecard. He was landing the jab. He was utilizing his distance. He was not trying for a knockout, which both you and I agreed that he shouldn't. And then Canelo just seemingly, in my opinion, Alex, put his foot on the gas in the 11th and finished him off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of interesting because it was right when Brian Kenny was saying how I'm always sort of waiting on a fifth gear with a Canelo fight, and then and maybe I'm waiting for fourth gear, and then all of a sudden, boom, and he's like, "There's fifth gear," and it was amazing how quick and sudden it was, and there definitely were people. It wasn't like the fans were turning on him. He could do anything he wants, and it doesn't seem like he would lose any fans at all. But there were some boos, there were some whistles, because it was a little bit dull. It was not. That's the thing when you throw so few punches, man. I mean, the busy guys are fun guys to watch.
Yeah, but the thing is that Kovalev could have won that. He won the fight if he continued for two more rounds doing what he had done. On my scorecard, he would have won the fight. He would have won the fight. You know, now whether he would have, and we said this from the minute we got there, and everyone we talked to, you know, I did not think he was going to be able to win a decision in Las Vegas against Canelo. That even Buddy McGirt, when I asked him, he's like, "Oh, I think so," you know. And Kathy Do, "I think so," you know. And basically they were just, you know, making it like there was a possibility. There was no possibility. And to Kovalev's discredit, he didn't seem like he was trying to do anything other than win a points fight. He did not want to get in close. Although it was the smart way to fight, he did not challenge Canelo as far as him being the bigger, stronger guy, theoretically. Canelo, on the other hand, seemingly was willing to give up rounds, even though the judges, some of them had him ahead. But there was clearly attack mode in the 11th round. And I was shocked to see Kovalev wilter as quickly as he did, and then just there was no return from it either.
Right. Well, that was the thing that, you know, in our pre-shows that I really think was the really excellent matchmaking on Team Canelo's part is that, and I hate to use this phrase, but I kind of thought that Kovalev was damaged goods, is in the sense that even though you could certainly make the case that he is the best light heavyweight right now, it's mainly from what he has accomplished. He's not the one with, you know, whose stars are rising. He's the one whose stars are setting. So it was the smart opponent for Canelo because of that was the other thing is that a lot of people, I remember seeing a couple of people who I respect on Twitter saying, what are people basing the idea that Canelo's going to stop this guy on? He hasn't knocked anybody out since junior middleweights, you know, other than Rocky Fielding. But to me, it was like, well, because I think Kovalev can be broken down. And I think that Kovalev fought like he was being very careful and that he knew This is a house of cards, and I've got to keep this house of cards up by sticking this jab out. And he did a good job with the strategy, but you're right. The strategy had a problem because where did it go? Eventually he was going to have to land heavier punches to get Canelo to respect him. He never was able to do that because in order to do that, you've got to plant your feet and land harder, throw harder, and by doing that, you leave yourself open. And as soon as he did, he paid for it. And that was, I think, to Canelo's credit because their corner knew that. There were Eddie Reynoso after the 6 rounds. Canelo sat down. He said, "You're going to get him. Don't worry." They fought the whole fight like that.
No, listen. Both camps, us talking to both camps and being there, they were both confident in the game plans. And very rarely do you see the game plan they're telling you they're going to do actually get done. And that's what happened in this fight. At some point, I thought that Kovalev, in order to win, needed to do exactly what he was doing. But just like Canelo went after him in the 11th round, I felt Kovalev needed to do that during a round. He needed to come on and, try to inflict some damage, power damage on Canelo. And he was reluctant to do so. And that can only explain to me that he was nervous about Canelo's pop, or at least Canelo maybe landing a body. I don't know.
No, absolutely. That's why. I mean, there's guys in the chat room who are just mystified by what was happening. It's very easy to understand. That's why he was afraid of getting and I don't mean to use the word afraid, but I was very cautious of being badly damaged in return. If there's anything Canelo's good at, it's counterpunching. So the more you land, the better he's going to land. See the Gennady Golovkin fights. That was why it was a difficult strategy for Kovalev because it didn't really have a winning way in it because the winning way depended on him landing heavy right hands, but he was never going to be able to do that because in order to do that, you had to sort of soften him up. And there was just no softening up Canelo. And that was the thing that was amazing about Canelo was how patient he was. At some point, I knew my card was lopsided. But I figured he was running out of rounds. And he was absolutely patient. And it was like, dude, this is not a 15-round fight. When are you going to take over? So I guess he figured 11th round, I'll take over now.
Yeah, but, he seemingly knew something we didn't, that he was going to be able to overpower him because I had that fight. I had Kovalev up 2 rounds. You had him up more, it was interesting. And so was some of the other fights on the card, specifically the female fights and Cisa Estrada and Marlon Esparza put on a great show. Estrada was smaller. Esparza came in there looking like she should be a model in those high heels. It was like, rah, rah, whoo, but fight night, they both came to fight, and a gruesome cut, 3-minute rounds. I loved every minute of it. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, that was a good fight, and I think it was very good. It was good for women's boxing. A lot of people are turned off by the sort of classlessness in some of the post-fight stuff. I'm not. If we're, for equality, boxing has grudge matches. There's female grudge matches and there's male grudge matches. This is a female one. These two don't like each other. Even going 9 tough rounds didn't make them like each other. They still don't like each other. Deal with it. They're not going to say anything nice about each other. I thought it was a good fight in the sense that it definitely was entertaining, and it was nice to see that they fought 3-minute rounds. But
Mauricio Sulaiman is outraged over that. I find that appalling because in a way he's saying that women can't handle 3-minute rounds. I mean, that's kind of a chauvinistic thing. And he says, oh, there's been many studies. I've never seen one. And I even asked him when he was on the show, are there studies? Who studied? Well, we appointed, your appointed doctors isn't a study. I want to see a study that would indicate that a female fighter is more susceptible to damage fighting 3-minute rounds versus 2. Because the 2-minute rounds, they usually have no feel out. I mean, it's just, action-packed. And we were treated to 3-minute action-packed rounds, each one.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think that if there is such a study, let's see it. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds like, the study of bumps of the head, that they mean something. I find that very difficult to accept, that the female brain is more susceptible to concussions than the male brain. If there is studies of that are reputable, let's see them. You don't hide if they're obvious, then you don't hide them. Let's see them. But yeah, I think it's just some kind of like dinosaur thinking, quite honestly. But let's. I do think that it was a good thing for Nevada to have done it, and hopefully it'll be something we see more of in the future.
One of the fights that were on this card that we saw in Vegas was a bit of an upset to me. Not by the the bookies in Vegas, but Ryan Garcia blew away Romero Dono in less than a round, 1 minute and 38 seconds. And I'm not that mad that I lost a few bucks on Dono, but we both, not only us, but Sergio Mora and Bernard Hopkins, I think, referred to Ryan Garcia having to put his big boy pants on for this fight, and he totally just proved us all wrong. What was your thoughts of I'm losing you. Can you hear me, Alex?
Yep, I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yeah, now I can. What was your thoughts on that fight?
I thought the Ryan Garcia fight was really good. I was stunned at how easily he dispatched Duno. But I think that's the thing about a rising star and a kid with some pretty serious power. And yeah, it was definitely a something to see. And he was all inspirational talk at the post-fight presser. So yeah, I really hope we see something, maybe a Devin Haney fight with him. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I did not, like we both were talking about, that fight looked like it was going to be the upset. But it turned out the Estrada fight was the upset.
The funny thing is I think that if Dono survived the early round, I was saying that I thought that Ryan Garcia was going to try to jump all over him and win, because he never really goes deep into fights, and I thought Dono gets stronger and stronger. But I didn't think it was going to turn out the way it did. I mean, he just demolished him in less than 2 minutes. So credit to Ryan Garcia on that. And then, of course, Blair, Cobbs. We got to meet this guy. What a character. Pretty amazing story. I think he's got a long way to go as a fighter. But I've been noticing comments about him 50-50. Some people like him, and some people don't.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that he'll probably have that his whole career, and that's what he wants. And I think as long as they're thinking about him, he'll be just okay with that. Well, actually, he'll be thrilled with that, because he's the kind of guy that he wants you talking about him. Woo! Yeah. He did exactly what a guy with his style should do. When you get dropped and you get embarrassed and you get up and you go to the wrong corner, you come back and you knock your guy into next week. And that's exactly what he did. And so, yeah, we're going to hear from him. And then the other thing, he shows up at the press conference wearing a vest and no shirt whatsoever. So, yeah, he's going to go places. And I think that in this sport, especially today, where the line gets straddled back and forth between the absurd and the ridiculous, I think he's going to do just fine.
I think he needs to work on his defense. His hands were down low.
Yeah.
The story goes he was an affluent kid going to Beverly Hills High School, and one day his whole world got turned upside down. His father, let's just say the authorities wanted him, so they all hopped on a privately owned plane and flew to Mexico. And that's where he learned to fight. And he showed no resemblance of Mexican-style fighting to me. And his father happened to have gotten out of prison, and he was at ringside in that fight. He hit the deck in that fight, and then came back to win. He needs to tighten up his game a bit, and then maybe he'll be something. He does have a good physique for it, so we'll have to wait and see.
Absolutely. He's got to tuck that chin in.
Yeah, the chin was sticking right out. His hands were down, his chin was out, had an X on it and everything. But in any event, a couple of fights yesterday. Devin Haney, he looked great. But the fight I wanted to talk to you about, and we're getting close to another couple of back-to-back heavyweight fights coming our way. But Kubrat Pulev, who's always being mentioned as a top fighter, getting his shot at a world title again. If you recall, he fought and lost to Klitschko, but apparently he's number one in line for the IBF. So the winner of the Ruiz AJ rematch supposed to be getting Pulev for the IBF. He looked terrible. He fought against Rydell Booker. No disrespect to Rydell Booker. 38 years old, same age, giving up an inch and a half height, half-inch reach, fought nobody in his whole career with his record. He really, I can't, 26-2, can't see him fighting a good opponent. His two losses were against decent opponents. Pulev, 13 of his 27 wins were actually against good opposition. His only loss was to Klitschko. And this guy, he looked like I don't want to see him with any top heavyweight. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, it was a stinker, and that's the thing about heavyweights. They're like the little girl with the curl. When they're good, they're really, really good, and when they're bad, they're horrid. And that was lousy. And it's I don't know. I think Tim Bradley was all over him, man. Was all over the opponent too, and so was Andre Ward.
Who?
About
who? You mean Dre? Oh, Dre. I'm sorry. You gotta, dude. You gotta. I don't know Andre. Well, I know Dre. It's just Dre, right? I mean,
right,
just Dre.
Right?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Was
I'm sorry.
after him. I tell you, one thing I should mention is that the Inoue versus Donaire fight was absolutely awesome. As you guys were talking about, as weird and mystifying the decisions DAZN made this week were with the Logan Paul fight and letting forcing everyone to watch the UFC fight as an appetizer to Kovalev Canelo. The fact that they aired Donaire and Inoue, I don't know, to me gets them a lot of forgiveness, because that fight was beautiful. It's what our sport is about. I mean, if you guys have not seen it, make sure you do, because unlike Canelo Kovalev, those two guys were throwing bombs at each other from the opening bell. They were trying to take each other's heads off. And we now learned that it was like the second or third round that the reason why we didn't see Monster doing his usual thing, possibly, is he had a broken eye socket. That's amazing. These guys, Inoue is a badass. I do hope he comes to the States and fights. I guess there's a good paying population of Japanese Americans in Hawaii as well as Southern California that they might be able to fill an arena for him. But man, that was a hell of a fight, Billy C.
There's no question about it. And I thought Inoue was going to win the fight. I thought he was going to knock out Donaire. I give a lot of credit to Donaire. He showed a lot of heart, and it was an exciting fight. There's no question. But definitely shame on DAZN with the UFC, bowing to the UFC for Kovalev, Canelo, and then putting KSI against Logan Paul as the main event. It's not even like a filler. It's the main event, and it just shocked me, that we would see that. Both fighters turned pro, so they're officially professional fighters. But the worst part isn't so much the zone, which is pretty scary in itself. It's how many people actually watch. Amazing.
No, I'm sorry. You blanked out for a second. But yeah, I do think, and I guess that was the thing about it, was their first fight was like the biggest event ever seen in a biggest YouTube event. I didn't know that, and quite honestly, I don't care. I don't know. Yeah, it was embarrassing. I don't know what to say about it.
I know. But I do say that Devin Haney against Ryan Garcia would be a really good matchup. That's for sure. I like that fight.
That would be good. And I tell you, the other thing that I think would be interesting is what Canelo does next, because as much as Billy Joe Saunders, had the chance to, sort of make some fans last night, I'm not sure he did, but he sure did go a long way to getting some forgiveness with that 11th round knockout. And if you think about it, that's kind of what Canelo did last week. Looked sort of vulnerable for 10 rounds, and then closed the show in exciting fashion in the 11th round.
Come on. We can't compare the two. Listen, the Kovalev-Canelo fight was not a boring fight. It was hard to score, but I didn't think it was boring. Maybe because we broke it down and did so much to it, they could have been, ironing in there. We would have, oh my God, you see the way he's holding that iron, But I thought it was exciting, and it did lead up to, it wasn't anticlimactic. It led up to a climax. But the Billy Joe Saunders fight, that was like a snooze fest until it ended. It was hard to watch. I was not. As a matter of fact, I couldn't tell you what happened in the middle rounds because I was sleeping. It was bad. It was bad.
Yeah, I think the Billy Joe Saunders fight was a little duller, but I definitely did think that Canelo, to me, Canelo was not as exciting as he has been in the past. That's for sure.
I think
he
needs Bivol. He's doing everything. He's doing everything, from a historical perspective. And I can't help but remember what Timothy Bradley and Dre said a couple of weeks ago about, well, you could either, form your legacy by fighting all the tough fights, or you could carefully pick your way and make a lot of money and collect the belts. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's basically what they said. And I think Canelo has already got his place in history. I think now it's time to show that he's not just cherry-picking like a Floyd Mayweather did towards the end of his career, but he wants to seek out the best challenges. I think out of the gate, a Canelo-Bivol fight is very evenly matched. The guy's not going to be bigger. I love the fight.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because Bivol would certainly put some power behind those jabs. And with his youth and his confidence, I think he's going to throw a lot more punches at Canelo, and maybe we'll see more of what is the light heavyweight version of Canelo like against a younger, more dangerous opponent. But I thought that Kovalev was fighting mostly, was holding back because he was afraid of return fire. I don't think Bivol will have the same situation. So yeah, I think that's a much better test of the light heavyweight Canelo.
Yeah, and it'll give him a chance to eat some more beef and get in great shape. But Alex, great time in Vegas. I appreciate you coming on. We'll look forward to you next week, brother.
Absolutely, Billy C. Good to talk to you. Peace.
Take care. That's my man Alex Papali. and we had a good time out there. I'm not going to take a break here. I will plug my man Kenny and Southern Gourmet Spice. Get yourself a bottle of Kenny Bears right now. Tastes great on everything. I like it on chicken. I like it on pizza, burgers. It's the best. But it's a rub. But I sprinkle it on as a spice. SouthernGourmetSpice.com. Bottle of Kenny Bears. They got some other stuff. Make sure you tell them Billy C sent you and get the discount. I got some emails I got to catch up on, so let's get started with that. First and foremost, this email was sent to me just before we went to Las Vegas. So it's a pre-fight, pre-Vegas email. And the email is from the other Alex. He says, hey, Billy C., I just checked out Canelo versus Kovalev episode. He's talking about our pre-fight episode. He says, you gave a lot of credit to the World Boxing Super Series fighters for putting their belts on the line in the cruiserweight and junior welterweight divisions, using this as an example of what Andre Ward and American fighters wouldn't do. But let's not forget the Super Six, where he disposed of Froch and Ketzler. Say what you want about Ward, but he won that tournament and he entered it undefeated. Andre Durrell also was in the Super Six, although I think he pulled out for some BS reason. Yes, you're 100% right. Andre Ward did fight the tough fights, and I thought that put him on the block, so to speak, even though he was already a champion. I think it put him in the conversation. He did fight the Super Six. He did win the Super Six tournament. And then he went on to have a couple other big fights before he hung it up. No doubt. I was just never a big fan of him. Not of him, really, but of the fact that he made the wrong decision with his promotional outfit. If he would have been promoted better early on, he would be a household name. Unfortunately, he is not. But thanks for the email. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be. I'm just saying he wasn't. He was promoted incorrectly. Mayweather-McGregor. I would say McGregor probably gave more. Pretty tough. He was in a pretty. Both thought he could win a decision. He was winning on my scorecard. He was outboxing Canelo. It's just that he let Canelo get in, and it was kind of disheartening to see him crumble like a sack of potatoes. It really was. He didn't get broken down. I think he ran out of gas. So, it's another email. It's from my man Jeff. He says, hey, Billy C., I enjoyed your show from Las Vegas, the pre-Canelo Kovalev. It was awesome interviews. It was really fun watching you with Bernard. You're the best boxing show, period. The UK would love your show. Thanks, Jeff. I would love to do the show in the UK. I've been hoping that, I'd get some fairy dust to fund us to get out there, but yes, I do think that this show would be a good match in the UK. The event was great. The interviews, hey, listen, if you guys haven't seen our week in Vegas, our pre-fight week in Vegas, there's 3 episodes up on YouTube, part 1, 2, and 3. You got to watch them. Part 1 is a technical breakdown of the fights, and at the end of that segment, we have Blair the Flair Cobbs with us in his funky shirt. It's worth the view. But then the second part is chock full of some great interviews. We had James Buddy McGirt, a Hall of Famer. We had Sergio Mora, former world champion, and now a commentator for DAZN. And, of course, the beautiful Kathy Duva. It was like I was in high school watching her, or talking with her, I should say. I was watching her too. But in any event, great interviews. And then we closed the event with a must-watch and listen to interview with clearly first ballot Hall of Famer Bernard Hopkins. What fun we had. I'm still sore from that. So if you haven't watched those, definitely watch them and spread them around, man. Help us get some more people through that platform. So spread it around. Anyway, this is from my man Matt. He says, hey, Billy C, I was happy to see the gang back in Vegas for a great fight between Canelo and Kovalev. I say forget the haters. It was fun. Instead of talking that bout, which I'm sure you'll do great scrutiny on the show, I'll talk another treasure. He said, I'd like to discuss the tremendous Dano-Inio bout. The best way I could describe it, the bout is perfect. I have always loved watching Donaire fight, and I've watched the Monster's ascension to pound-for-pound status with great interest. To see such a back-and-forth fight with intensity and respect between two fighters is something that elevates boxing beyond normal sports. It was all that I love in this sport, played out to the fullest, the highest respect for Donaire, a tremendous exclamation point on what I consider a Hall of Fame career. The Monster also overcame adversity and proved himself within the confines of our beloved square circle. To hear that crowd cheer for both combatants was a fantastic capping to what I considered a fight of the year contender. There was truly no loser in this contest. In fantastic boxing bouts, there truly rarely is. To see such a performance is what keeps the sweet science alive, despite the divisions of the networks, the sanctioning bodies, and of course Al Heyman. The World Boxing Super Series has delivered in spades, and I personally can't wait for the December 14th Cruiserweight final. I believe we're in for another treat. And in an even more interesting storyline, the Monster has signed with Top Rank. I believe we'll see some great bouts ahead with this star. Say what you want about the streaming age, but for boxing fans, it's been a treasure. In any case, Billy C, let us enjoy the bouts to come. We have a great end of year 2020 and a great 2020 coming up for the fight game. He says, by the way, come fishing in Western New York any day. Matt, I want to take you up on that. I know we tried last year, but this year for sure, give me a little notice, and I'll be there for sure. I want to go fishing with you in Western New York. I spent plenty of time up there, but never fishing. Some other news I just want to mention. Wayne Hang Mayothin is now 54-0. He's the WBC minimum weight champion. He improved to 54-0 2 weeks ago, and I just want to give a shout out to him. 54-0. So all you people that think 50-0 is so great and just dismiss fighters like Julio Cesar Chavez, etc. 54-0 right now. Fury and Wilder are starting their back and forth. This time, Tyson Fury claims he's going to knock out Wilder. I don't think so. Another sickening thing, it's been rumored that Floyd Mayweather is going to be taking on that UFC fighter Khabib Nurmagomedov, and I just murdered his name. Please, Floyd, don't do this. I know you make all this money doing it. Don't do it. It's not a real fight, and it makes me sick that people even would consider it a real fight. It's sickening, to say the least. Anyway, we got the official Canelo Kovalev press kit. We got a Talking Boxing with Billy C t-shirt, and we have your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game, all waiting for you. I'm looking for the highest bidder, so drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. The highest bidder will win it all, and we're looking for that. So this is not just for the live show. Anybody that's watching this replay or listening to it on the radio, you got until next week. So you have until November 17th. I will announce the winner next week for the highest bidder. You get an official Canelo Kovalev press kit. We got a Billy C t-shirt, and of course your own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game for the highest bidder, payable via either Super Chat or PayPal. But just bid now via email, billy@talkinboxing. That's TALKINBOXING.com. I want to thank my man Alex Papali, Dax Khan, and of course Sal Rocky Senacola for joining me today. I want to remind you guys we're going to start talking about the big fights to close this year and what we can expect next year, beginning with next week's show. It is the holiday season. Don't forget to get a copy of my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet. It's a great Christmas gift. Fits right in the stockings right in there. So get yourself a copy. Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, both have it. Listen, make sure you tune in next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.